My name is Kharim Sadler. I'm the Department of Marine Resources, the head of the Extension Division. My task this morning is to give you a brief run-through of what the plans for the Extension Division are this year, 2024. So we're going to do a brief review of 2023, just to give a little background in terms of the direction that we're going. So the areas that we focused on last year were improvement of FAD management, those are fish aggregating devices, promotion of underutilized species, diamondback squid in particular, and revise our basic fisher training program. That training program was intended to be similar to what the Department of Agriculture is rolling out now as the farmers beginner training, where this would equip you as a new fisher on safety, educate you on issues in the marine space, things that you would need to be aware of. And so we were looking at upgrading that training program. Of course, new information comes every year. Things change, there are new standards that have to be met. So to constantly be ahead of the game, we were looking at upgrading that. So some highlights from 2023 were, as a result of our improvements, as it were, in the management of our FADs, we were able to form a technical working group that comprised members of other organizations, the Department of Maritime Affairs, SCASPA, NASPA, for instance, and Coast Guard. And through that collaboration, we were able to begin retrieving debris from FADs that were lost through ship strikes. That is the main cause of the loss of our FADs, and that ship right there at the dock would have been the one that cut off this FAD, and we were able to retrieve that. So we can have that information being collected so that it can inform areas where would be suitable for the deployment of FADs to avoid that type of conflict with other marine users. We also had opportunity this is from Agriculture Open the last year, to do information sharing about programs that we have ongoing. We were able to demonstrate to the public what the diamondback fishing, squid fishing gear would look like when it's deployed, as well as the apparatus of the fish aggregating devices. And this was also done on Nevis as well at the Agro Expo. We had a diamondback squid fishing training last year. This was run in different components throughout the year for our staff, where they were first introduced to diamondback squid, the construction and the operation of the gear. Then we had the opportunity for the staff to demonstrate their understanding of how to actually carry out diamondback squid fishing operations. And then, of course, their training worked, and they were successful in capturing diamondback squid in the waters of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Other highlights would have been the diamondback squid processing training for staff. The staff at the Bastia Fisheries Complex, as well as staff from the Nevis Fisher Cooperative, were introduced to how to process diamondback squid. We also had diamondback squid promotion in the form of sample distribution at night market around World Food Day. And we had discussion with potential facilitators and agencies on the development of the syllabus for this basic fisher training. So for this year and beyond, we want to build on previous successes, and that includes implementing new strategies and technologies from lessons that we would have learned the previous year. So not every time something doesn't work out does not mean that it's not a success. So we want to improve on our FAD technology to reduce ship strikes and increase the lifespan of FADs. We have deployed a number of FADs in previous years, and we have lost a significant amount of them as well. In 2016, we would have received from the government and the people of Japan some submerged FADs. Those are FADs that do not have a surface marker, so the attraction portion of the FAD is completely under the water, and this is what that attraction portion would have been like. It's a fiber reinforced plastic molded frame really expensive. This is about 20 feet long and about 5 feet wide. So the logistics of deployment of this FAD was really expensive. The anchor for this FAD weighed about 12.5 tons. So it required the contracting of a company from St. Vincent to come in and do the deployment and stuff like that. However, these FADs are still active today. So we see that it is beneficial to keep these FADs out of the reach of the passing vessels, larger vessels in particular, and they are still productive to this day. These have been very reliable. And so what we want to introduce are smaller scale submerged FADs. Now this model is taken from a program that's being run by the Dolphin Fish Research Program in Puerto Rico, where they constructed some submerged FADs, but using less weight, of course, and using more easily accessible materials. These are materials that we already have available here in the region. What is different is that the construction methodology allows for smaller vessels to maneuver and deploy these FADs. So we want to introduce some of these here. Now, because the shadow of the FAD, as it were, the impact area would be much smaller, they have resorted to deploying them in clusters. So if you look here, this was taken from the website of that program. All of these yellow dots are those submerged FADs that have been deployed close to one another that provide the same coverage as one FAD that would have been $500,000 US in cost. And so we want to replicate something like this here. One of our colleagues from Nevis who traveled to Japan last year helped me to understand that this same technology is now being used in Japan as well to minimize the cost, the overall cost of construction and logistics with regards to the deployment and the installation of these submerged FADs. So when it comes to the promotion of the diamondback squid, we still have a lot of work to do with that. We want to do promotion at all major events, Agri Expo in Nevis, Agriculture Open Day, as well as some other events that other departments and ministries of the government will be having. But we want to do this in collaboration with entities and members of the food industry. So we want to have other persons outside of the department preparing diamondback squid, getting familiar with the textures, the flavors and things like that, and getting more people aware of what that type of excitement, what that type of feedback from the general public who are trying diamondback squid can be like. We also want to promote the preparation and consumption of diamondback squid in schools, and this will be done through some partnered activities, some cooking competitions with high schools and stuff like that, so that we can get the younger generation as well aware of this alternative protein source. And we also want to build capacity among fishers to be able to target diamondback squid. A few fishers in the past would have benefited. I would have taken some fishers out on our vessel, and I also would have gone out on other fishers' vessels to show them that it is quite easy to perform the diamondback squid fishing operations on their vessels so that they can get some interest and gauge that interest from them. But we want to now kind of go all out and target a group of fishers who can now add that to their repertoire and supplement the other fishing activities by targeting diamondback squid. We also want to, in July, roll out the new syllabus of the basic fisher training program. Now what we have been working on is making this program more hands-on and competence-based, as opposed to fishers just sitting in a session like we are doing here, looking at PowerPoint slides and stuff like that, but actually get them working through scenarios, getting familiar with the actual operation of safety equipment and actually carrying out safety emergency response procedures and stuff like that. So that is slated for July of this year, both here on St. Kitts and in Nevis. And so we are looking forward to having the involvement of fishers the excitement of fishers to participate in this in 2024.